Hello YouTube, and once again apologize for the background noise. I'm at my place and there's a couple of fans that I'm using. I know it's kinda odd for me to say that, especially in October, but it's getting, how do you say, cold, so I'm using heater fans. But anyway, uh, on this topic of the video, and it's super rare for me to do this, as a matter of fact, I think this is my first time talking about another YouTuber. Actually, I done another discussion in the past about another YouTuber, but he's long gone. This one is more active. His name is Golberg. And I love watching his video because the stuff he says on this video is so down to earth, ground based that it's super relatable. I want to say he's the average Joe, but more like the above average Joe because I've seen his face before he started to, be a little more anonymous and not show his face anymore. But before, in his early days of YouTube, he did show his face, and you could tell that the guy is very good looking, no homo. And you could tell the guy is also above average. He's, I think, over 6 foot tall. Like, he's definitely above average and gone with a lot of women. But even a guy like him, and this is what baffles me when I see this, even a guy like him struggles to stay in a relationship. I don't think he's struggling to attract women. The problem is staying in the relationship, which is a huge difference, guys. Especially with the so-called chat or chat like I believe they have no issues of attracting women. The problem is, and this is a huge problem for everybody in these days, is maintaining a relationship, especially if you want the relationship to last more than 10 plus years, because a lot of people want that. They want that ideal marriage, the ideal relationship, especially due to the fact that back then, quote unquote back then, our ancestors, they get married when they're young and they sort of grow with each other throughout their lives and stay with each other throughout their lives. That's the ideal marriage. But nowadays it's very hard to essentially maintain a relationship, and it got to the point where essentially we see the rise of incels, casual dating culture, and we see the chats like basically knocking a lot of women up, but at the same time they're not staying in the relationship, and as a result, these chat likes, they suffer from loneliness, and the incels, they also suffer from loneliness. But the biggest difference is one has not experienced with women before, while the others they have, but they're still lonely. And at the same time, women are becoming lonely despite they've been sleeping around with a bunch of dudes, and that's honestly kind of sad. Like, yeah, you have sexual access part, but what's the point of having all that, sexual access when you can't even stay in a relationship and now you're feeling lonely? To me, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, back to the topic of the video. I took a screenshot of Goldberg YouTube channel, and right underneath, as you see in this screenshot, you see a video that says the shackle soyciety. Now, in my honest opinion, this is one of his best video he ever made, and I will leave a link down in the description below. The reason why I believe this is one of his best videos because once again, the way he describes stuff on almost all of his video is very ground based, down to earth, but at the same time he added description of his own perception, but the way he described as a third person view, like how basically anyone could see it happening, is it's not like his view is not biased. That's very, the only bias he has, if this is any bias, is what he sees in his perception, but at the same time what people have a hard time accepting in terms of reality. The stuff he says, guys, is essentially what anyone could see. And this video, the shackle of soyciety, it made me laugh, but at the same time the stuff he says is very true. Like, all you have to do, guys, if you want to know if he's telling the truth, is just go outside, touch grass, socialize a bit, and you will definitely see some drama like this. And I kid you not, guys, I used to work at a restaurant. I think I mentioned that before. And at the restaurant, I see a lot of drama. And all I gotta say is that I've seen women having like two personas. One playing the cute and innocent that everyone wants to view her, but at the same time, when she goes out clubbing, partying, drinking, etc., that's when she reveals her other side, which is the hoe phase. And I feel like, to some degree, that's very true to majority of women. All you have to do is socialize, and trust me, they will reveal themselves to you. And this video, this Shackles of Society, is very sad, but at the same time very observant. Like, you don't really need to like investigate for yourself. All you have to do is just go out, socialize, and eventually you'll see it for yourself. But the problem is, what I love about Golberg's description in his video is that most people, they have a hard time accepting reality for what it is. And what I love what he said in the video is, essentially, most guys, they try to do the right thing, and they try to get in a relationship the right way. They're trying to avoid the mistakes of their abusive parents, if they had abusive parents from the past. But whenever they get involved with a woman, that a woman herself knows that she is not going to suffer any consequences if she acts crazy on you, then she will get away scot-free. Meanwhile, the guy himself, he's gonna essentially suffer. Like, he has to tread very carefully, because if he don't, then he is absolutely gonna suffer, even if he's trying to do the right thing. And the saddest part is that the women themselves, they understand that they live in a society, or should I say a social structure, where it benefits them to the point where they get to basically walk away consequences free. Even if they get shamed a bit, they still get to get away with it consequences free. If you want to see a perfect story example that has been running around in the internet for quite some time, the story itself, it died off, but you could look up the aftermath of what happened. It's the story about the female police officer that was sleeping around with her colleagues. I'll leave a link in the description down below about that story. This female police officer, she's been sleeping around with her colleagues, and the saddest part is that she's married. And when she got shamed, publicly humiliated, and of course she got fired, I believe, this scandal, essentially all of the dudes, they got in huge serious in trouble, but the woman, she essentially walked away minimal consequences free. The only thing that she suffered was her reputation, especially the fact that the story itself went online. So you could say that she got public shaming, but what is so baffling is that she managed to win a lawsuit against the police department, and that lawsuit, because she won, she managed to walk away with millions of dollars, essentially affording her an early retirement. And to me, that is baffling that we allow this in our society. But this is why Golberg, this YouTuber that I follow, which, by the way, Golberg, if you're watching this video, I'm a big fan of yours, and I love the stuff that you say. Anyway, if you ever watch any of Goldberg's video, he essentially relaying what's going on society. He's not making anything up. All the stuff that he's been saying on his videos is stuff that you yourself could easily observe. All you have to do is go out, touch grass, or you don't even have to do that. You could just go on TikTok, and TikTok will basically speaks for themselves, because nowadays a lot of people love recording of what's going on in public, especially with women themselves. Women, they will literally expose themselves of what they're doing wrong, especially in public, and especially when it comes to relationship. Like nowadays we're seeing a lot of videos where women are complaining about relationship, but what's funny is that they expose themselves of what they did wrong in that relationship. That's not even a joke. And because of that, a lot of MGTOW YouTubers, they're using those footage as evidence that many of these women, and the saddest part, these women are usually attractive. That's, to me, that's baffling. That's baffling that usually these women are attractive. These attracted, beautiful women that are kind of nuts in the head, they essentially self sabotage themselves, especially self sabotage the relationship with a good dude, and they essentially suffer the consequences. They don't suffer accountability, which in my previous video I mentioned that several times over. There's a difference between accountability and consequence. But anyway, back to the topic of soyciety. Well, basically what I'm trying to say, guys, is when you have YouTubers like Golberg just making videos of what's wrong with our society, you know that our society is going downhill, and it makes me wonder when it's gonna change. I feel like when society starts changing, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get a lot worse, to the point where it basically blows up in our faces. And I don't know what's gonna happen next. All I gotta say is that all of us, we gotta embrace the impact. But I'm making this video because Golberg, he made a very good video, and I absolutely love it. He hit the nail on the head on every minute of it, and it's kind of sad to see that even good-looking dudes, like in the video Shackle of Society, the guy that was featured in the video with his girlfriend that looks like, you know, promiscuous, and being interviewed by a black dude, the guy in the video, he looks pretty decent looking. Like, he's definitely not a sub-5 or an incel. You could tell that he's capable of attracting women. But even a guy like him, in public, gets disrespected, and his girlfriend doesn't respect him. So that's kind of sad. And most likely what's going to happen for Broccoli Head, as Goldberg said, is that he's probably going to just sleep with her, but at the same time, that's most likely the end of the relationship, and he probably have to, you know, leave her, because if he tries to do the right thing, he's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get hurt financially, socially, mentally, and if he doesn't tread carefully, he could go in prison, and he could literally go to jail just for being white, just for stepping out of line, because of, you know, of trying to stand his ground as a white man. And that's kind of sad. And for the black guy, well, still, black guys, they still get a lot of trouble, especially if, you know, police being a little biased. Well, I'm not trying to inject social racial politics here, but what I'm trying to say is that most men, we have to tread carefully, because we could go to jail regardless. We could get socially punished. We could get financially punished. Meanwhile, women, they get to essentially be nuts and live their lives consequence free. And the more attractive and beautiful the woman is, the more she is able to get away with it. The only time when a woman truly suffers is if she does something super crazy to the point where her reputation is ruined, and she goes to jail for it. And as Goldberg mentioned, most of the time when a woman goes to jail is because she does something super heinous, such as sleeping with an underage student. But even then, could be a slap in the wrist because there were court cases on record that some female teacher managed to get lighter sentence. But anyway, I'm just making a commentary praise video to Golberg because it's one of his best video yet. As usual, I'll leave a link down in the description below, and hope you guys like this video, and thank you for watching, and goodbye.